Can you actually be happy in a relationship without sex? This is one of the biggest debates in relationship. While some people say that sex is just a bonus, other people argue that without it, your relationship is doomed. But what if I told you that it's not about whether you have sex, but how intimacy and connection show up in your relationship? In the last few years, I've helped hundreds of women reconnect with their partner and spark desire and passion in their relationships, and this question often comes up as one that needs to be answered. Can you truly be happy without sex? We're going to explore what happens when sex disappears, how that impacts connection, and what to do if you and your partner have different opinions on this. So by the end of this video, you'll have a totally new perspective on sex, intimacy, and what actually matters in long-term relationship. So let's start with the facts. Studies show that nearly 20% of married couples are in sexless relationships, which means they have sex fewer than 10 times per year. That's less than once a month. And a lot of those couples are not happy about it. Sex is one of the biggest sources of frustration, resentment, and distance in relationships. But here's the twist. It's not always about the sex. A lot of people in long-term relationships aren't missing just the physical act. When sex goes out the window, they also end up missing emotional connection, playfulness, intimacy, excitement, doing new things together. Because when sex disappears, it's often a symptom of something bigger. So if you're in a relationship where sex is rare or non-existent, I want you to start to ask yourself, what is missing? Is it the sex, or is it closeness, affection, the feeling of being desired? Because if it's connection you're craving, there are so many ways to rebuild that even before sex comes back into the picture. Now let's go back to that big question. Can you be happy without sex? The short answer is, it depends. There are some people who naturally have lower sexual desire or don't really care to have sex in their relationships. They still feel deeply connected to their partner through emotional intimacy, shared experiences, and affection. And if both people in the relationship are that way, then yeah, they can totally be happy without sex. But the problem is that most couples don't agree on this. One person might be totally fine without sex while the other person is struggling with rejection, loneliness, and feeling undesired. And that's where all of the problems and conflict around this starts, because the mismatch in desire, not the lack of sex itself, is what typically creates the real tension. So the real question isn't, can people be happy without sex? It's, can both people in a relationship be happy without sex? And if the answer is no, then something needs to shift. Now, sex isn't just about physical pleasure. It's also a form of communication. When we're intimate with our partner, we're reinforcing things. We're saying things to them with our bodies without words. We say things like, I desire you, I see you, I want to connect with you. And when sex disappears, it can start to feel like that communication is breaking down. So if sex has just faded in your relationship, I want you to think beyond the physical. Like, what messages are being lost? What's missed in the communication? Is your partner feeling unseen? Are you feeling disconnected? This is where so many couples struggle because, again, it's just not about always only bringing sex back. It's about bringing that connection and that communication back. So I'm about to share how to get that back. But if you are enjoying this video so far, go ahead and give it a like and subscribe to my channel for more about intimacy and relationships. So here's how to fix this. Step 1 is getting honest about what's missing. So ask yourself, is it sex that's missing, or is there more? Is there emotional connection? Is there a missing feeling of closeness or playfulness? And if those are all true, I would recommend that you focus on rebuilding the intimacy first. So try small gestures like non-sexual touch, hugs, kisses, back rubs, creating intentional time together, expressing appreciation and attraction with your partner verbally. Step number 2 is having a conversation about this with your partner. This is a really hard one, but avoiding the topic is not going to fix anything. Instead of saying things like, oh, we never have sex anymore, try, again, relating to that other thing that's missing. I miss feeling close to you. I want to find a way for us to reconnect physically. Step number 3 is rebuilding desire gradually. For a lot of couples, jumping right back into sex can feel really overwhelming. So focusing instead on bridging activities, things that create the intimacy without pressure and can lead to sex. kissing for longer amounts of time, sensual touching, sharing fantasies or desires in a low pressure way. When you remove that pressure for sex to be perfect and to be right into it, it really makes it easier to rebuild the connection. So now what do you do if you and your partner don't see eye to eye? If one of you is happy without sex, but the other one feels lonely or rejected? This is what you need to remember first. Neither of you are wrong. You're just experiencing intimacy differently. But if one person is suffering in a relationship, it's a relationship issue that needs to be addressed. And what that means is acknowledging both perspectives with compassion instead of blame, finding ways to meet in the middle, whether that's through other forms of intimacy, new ways of connecting, or working with a professional, because what makes a relationship last isn't just sex. It is the willingness to work through challenges together. So, can you be happy without sex? If both partners feel deeply connected, satisfied, and loved, then yeah. But if one partner is longing for intimacy and feeling disconnected, you need to work on it. And remember, it's not just about bringing sex back, it's about rebuilding connection, that open line of communication, and trust. And if you want to go deeper into understanding what you might need to want sex again, the reason why we often lose desire is because of a lack of pleasure or fulfillment in sex. So I made a video that walks you through how to make sex more satisfying for you so you can crave it again. So all you need to do is tap here to watch that video, and I appreciate you being here. I'll see you in the next one.